Hello, good morning, students. So today I'll be explaining from the textbook. Okay, we'll start a new chapter, that is input output in C++. So that is input output streams in C++. Uh, it's much easier explained from the textbook. Okay, so those who have the textbook, okay, uh, refer to the page and the topic as I'm explaining. Okay, we have finished the first chapter, that is overview of C++. Okay, so those who have not understood that chapter, okay, go through the video tutorials that I've uploaded, and then all the video links, okay, and then watch those, okay, and try to understand, because the first chapter you have to understand is very important. Okay, the first chapter is very important. Overview of C++, you have to understand what are the variables, the data types, okay, all punctuators, all of those things you'll be using in all the following chapters. Okay, along with that, okay, I'll be providing you, for those who don't have the textbook, I'll be providing you the solve exercises. Okay, I'll upload the solve exercises, and then the review questions. Okay, this is for you to find out from the textbook. Okay, and then maintain it in your notebook. Okay, so this you maintain it in your notebook. Okay, and then yes, I shall be reviewing these questions that you have written. Okay, do not study only these or solve exercises, okay, that I'm uploading. Okay, but from the textbook also, the notes parts, and from the textbook also, all of these things you need to study. Okay, so just studying the solve exercises is not enough. Just studying this solve exercise is not enough. This does not complete the whole chapter. Okay, so you have to go through the whole of textbook. So today we'll start with a new chapter, that is input output streams in C++, as we have lots of units and chapters to complete, and we don't have that much time. Okay, so and since this is a video recording, okay, so whatever you don't understand, go back and watch it again and again. Okay, so that you will understand chapter by chapter. So in what is this input output in C++? Now, normally, okay, C++, it contains no commands to perform the input and output operations. That is that is like the input data entered from the keyboard or mouse, okay, or to display it on the monitor or through printer. Okay, so C++ has no written commands as such. Okay, instead of that, what it does is the compiler access certain input output function files. Okay, we have already seen what is function, right? I've already defined to you functions, right? So some functions, okay, for input and output operations, okay, through which, okay, all the data that are entered, or all the data to be displayed, okay, is accessed by these functions, is done by these functions. Okay, so these function files for the input and output, okay, it is enclosed in the stream class of C++. Okay, so it is enclosed in a class file. What are class, we shall see later on. Okay, so it is a, you can just for the time being, okay, you can refer to a class, a collection of, say, like the functions, okay, which uh, is for the input and output operations. Okay, so it is called as a stream class. So you have to in order to, okay, refer to the input and output functions, okay, there is a header file called as iostream.h, okay, which belongs to the stream class, uh, and it is accessed by the C++ compiler whenever any uh, input output function operation takes place in the program. Okay, so the header file, it is a standard library file, okay, which contains all the information, the definitions, the class for the uh, C++ program that you have written. Okay, because in the C++ program, okay, there may be some certain keywords, there may be some certain words like identifiers, or like the, as we have seen in the tokens, right? literals, constants, okay, like const, int, okay, cout, cin, like that, okay, which are undefined, okay. So all of those things are defined in the standard library files, okay. So now based on that, for cout and cin, okay, there is a stream file called as iostream.h, okay. So using that, so since there is no command for the input output operation, okay, using the stream class file only, okay, the c++, okay, can accept the data from any input output devices, okay, any peripheral devices. It may be a keyboard, it may be a mouse, it may be a monitor, okay, it may be a disk file, it may be from the hard drive, it may be from tape drives, okay. So it can be from the monitor or printer, okay. So based on that, okay, programmers can write the c++ programs, okay, without finding any difficulty. Now this input output stream is further classified into, okay, two types of objects, that is cout and cin. So as you can see, okay, in this diagram you can see that, okay, you have the keyboard through which the user enters, okay. So it may be from the hard disk, okay. So any kind of data that may be entered, okay, it may be an integer, it may be a long, okay, it may be a float decimal point, it may be a double, okay, it may be a character, so it may be a string file. All of those things that is entered, okay, and then it is printed out, or it is printed out or stored in another uh, disk file, or maybe displayed on the monitor, okay. So this process goes on. So for that you have the cout and cin object stream. So cout and cin are your standard input and output streams, okay. So what is a stream? Okay, a stream is a sequence of bytes. Okay, here a stream is a sequence of bytes. Now along with this cout and cin, okay, the we use one overload operator, okay. So this is called as the overload operator here, okay. See, both the functions used to overload operator, that is less than and greater than, okay. So in cin also you use this overload operator, and cout also you use this overload operator, but the direction is different, here is different, okay. So this is this is called as the extraction operator, and this is called as the insertion operator, okay. Of course, in the textbook it has been misrepresented. In textbook this is called as the insertion, and this is called as the uh, extraction, okay, but it is quite the reverse. So what is cout? Now here this is just a hierarchy of streams, some stream class library files, okay. Just go through this, okay. So based on that, okay, whenever you cout is your standard output, cout object is your standard output stream, okay. Through this cout, okay, uh, whatever data has to be displayed, okay, the compiler sends it to that standard output device. So directly it sends it to the standard output device. It may be a monitor, it may be a printer, okay. So the cout, okay, so you can pronounce it as cout, okay, object sends to a standard output device. This is the screen unless you have redirected the standard output to another device. So at this point, if you do nothing special, cout sends all output to the screen. So this is the format, okay, the syntax of a cout object. So here this is the keyword, okay, cout, okay, and then here you have your overload operator, which is the insertion, operator. And this data, it may be a variable, it may be a constant, okay, or it can be an expression or combination of all of these things. So it can be a variable, suppose like cout a, or it can be a constant also. So within single quote or double quote, okay, there may be a value data 1 to 3, or say like John. Okay, so John will be enclosed in double quote because John is a string, or suppose like C out within single quote A, because A is a character. Okay, or it can be an expression, suppose like within a bracket A plus B, so it will C out will display the value of A plus B. Okay, so using this C out output string, okay, object, the data which is stored in a variable, suppose sum. Okay, in some variable, suppose like 10 is stored, so 10 will be displayed. Okay, so how it is displayed is the suppose this is the variable sum. Okay, so from there, using this overload operator, it will extract the data from the variable and direct it to that cout keyword. Okay, so this keyword, okay, refers to any standard output device, so it directly attaches itself to the monitor, directs the data to the monitor. Okay, so this is how you display output using cout objects. Okay, so here in this case, cout, I am a C++ programmer. Okay, so here this is a string. Okay, so as you can see here that this is enclosed within double quote, this is enclosed within double quote, so that's why this is string. If it is enclosed within single quote, it will be a character, but a character denotes only one single letter, okay, or an alphabet. So it may be suppose like I is enclosed in single quote, then it becomes a character. Okay, but since we have double quote, so this becomes a string. Okay, and in a string, you always, at the end of the string, there is always a null character, so there's 1 byte more extra is taken in, right? So always follow the direction of the arrow. Okay, so this sentence, okay, this sentence will be directed by this overload operator to the cout output stream. Okay, so that means from right to left. Okay, in terms of output, it will be from right to left as per the direction of the arrow. So this I am a C++ programmer will be printed up. Okay, so similarly, all of these cout statements will be printed out one at a time. Okay, here you can see that slash n is used. Okay, so slash n is an escape sequence character, which I have explained in the early chapters, right? So slash n stands for new line. Okay, so new line, what it does is, okay, when the compiler encounters this slash n, okay, this slash n, so a new line will be created. Okay, and the next statement to be executed will be executed on the next line. Okay, if this, suppose this slash n is not written here, okay, then what will happen is that I am a C++ programmer and I am 17 years old, it will be printed out on the same line. But because you have used this slash n after the programmer, okay, so that's why I am 17 years old is printed out on the next line and not in this line. Okay, so you can see here that, okay, this line is terminated by a semicolon. Okay, so every line statement is terminated by a semicolon. Okay, so this is so cout is your standard output stream. Okay, so based on that, okay, you have next is your C input stream. Okay, yeah, before that, some more examples are here. Okay, so here, displaying variable output using cout object. So here you can see that this here, this is data type, this is the variable name, this is the assignment operator, and this is the data value. So this is assigning a value to a variable. Okay, so this is a keyword which is data type integer. Okay, so that means since it is integer data type, so that means it is telling the compiler that this variable radius, which is user defined. Okay, if you want to write down rad, you can write down rad also. Okay, or if you want to write down raddii, it's possible. Okay, because this user defined name, so it is telling the compiler that this variable stores integer value. Okay, that's why this is an integer number. So this using the assignment operator equal to this 4 is transferred to this variable or stored in this variable. Okay, so that is what assigning a value to a variable does. If suppose it is just written like this, int radius semicolon, okay, in that case that is declaring a variable. Okay, declaring a variable is just telling the compiler that okay, this variable will store this variable is declared as integer type and it will be used in the program later on. Okay, so assigning a value to a variable, that means already inside the program itself, okay, the value of the variable is being assigned. Okay, so now what you have to do is that simply display what is stored in this variable. So that is done using the cout string. Okay, so using the cout operator. So using the overload operator, okay, the value that is stored in this radius is directed to the cout devices, so in the form of a monitor. Okay, so see the operator, okay, this insertion operator will send the radius value 4 to the output screen. Okay, so hope that you have understood by this example. Okay, similarly, okay, here also if you want to send two or more items to the output screen, then you can use separate statements or you can write cascade operator. Okay, so cascading operators is in the next page. I'll come to that. Okay, so we'll leave this example. Okay, we'll come back to here, cin operator. Okay, so cin, that is the standard input stream. So what it does now, it uses the extraction operator. Okay, not the insertion operator, it uses the extraction operator. So the direction of the overload operator is in like greater than symbol. Okay, so it accepts any data that is entered from the keyboard. Okay, it may be from the mouse also. Okay, so here also the syntax is cin. Okay, so the overload operator, the extraction overload operator, and then the data, it may be also here in this case the variable name. Okay, so what happened is, okay, since you know that you need a variable to store the data, right? Without a variable, the compiler will not allocate memory space for that program, right? So that's why a variable name is used here. Because why is cin, okay, so whatever you type from the keyboard will be accepted by the c input stream operator. Okay, and by this operator, as per the arrow, it will direct the data and store in this variable. Okay, in cout, okay, it was from right to left. Okay, what value was stored in the variable, the operator, okay, sent that to the output screen. Okay, and in this case, whatever is entered from the keyboard, the c input stream, okay, uh, was it accepts from the c input stream, okay, and then directed that data to the variable, that means store it in the data in the variable. Okay, so here what we're doing is that from the variable we're extracting the data to display it on the monitor screen, but in here we are accepting the data so that it will be stored in the variable. Okay, so it's quite the reverse, right? Okay, so based on that, so this operator is known as the get from or extraction operator. Okay, so in this example, data input through a cin object. So you can see here this variable is declared as n, okay, of type integer. So another variable ch is declared as data type character. Okay, so this variable will store character values and this variable will store integer values. So here cout enter any number. Okay, now the c output stream, okay, what it will do is that anything that is written within double quotes, okay, it will simply display it on the monitor screen as it is. So even if you write here enter any number, okay, even if you write here my name is so and so, okay, it will not display any error. It will simply print out whatever that you have written here. Okay, so any any message or any string value that is entered within the double quotes, okay, the C output stream will display it on the monitor screen. Okay, so now keep in mind that according to the programming, okay, logic, okay, so as per the C out statement here, okay, it has to match with what the program is asking. Suppose you have to enter two numbers, right? So you can write here enter two numbers. You got it? Okay. Or suppose you have to enter a data name. So the question will be asked like enter your first name or enter your name, like that. Okay. So it has to match with the program what it is asked. So cin, okay, so now enter any name will be directed by this overload operator to the output string, okay, and from the keyboard whatever is entered, the C input stream will direct it to the using the overload operator to the variable n. Okay, so it will accept integer values only here. Now if you try to enter, suppose since n has been declared as integer, if you try to enter the value, enter any number, suppose like abc, the compiler will display error. That value will not be entered in this variable n, because this variable n stores integer value only. So if you enter 1 or 2 or 55 like that, okay, that value will be stored in this variable n. Similarly here also, cout, enter your choice. Okay, so here you can enter from the keyboard any alphabets also. Okay, so suppose you enter a, that will be accepted. Okay, so any kind of alphabetical numbers, okay, so since it stores character values, okay, so alphanumeric characters can be accepted here. So that's why here see enter any number, 10, enter your choice y. Okay, so that will be accepted by the C input stream. So this is how a program statement goes. Now one thing you'll notice is here we cannot write down here int n equals to 10, okay, just like the previous one, int radius, okay, because if you enter the assign the value directly, okay, then you don't need to enter anything from the keyboard. The C output stream will simply display what has been assigned to that variable, right? But in this case you are declaring a variable, not assigning a value to a variable. If you assign a value to this variable n equals to 10, okay, that means now the variable stores this value 10, so you just need to display. So you don't need to say enter any number. Instead you just need to say cout, okay, cout, the number that is stored in variable n is, and then that will be displayed. Okay, now so you will see that when you use the C output statement, and when you need to display what is stored in that variable, then you need to you write down that variable name, you need to call that variable. Okay, like here, since 4 is stored in this variable radius, that's why the cout, okay, is calling this variable radius to display. Okay, so the compiler forces what is stored in this variable radius to display it on the monitor screen. Okay, so similarly like that you have the cascading operators. Now what is cascading? So cascading operators, you use it for like to shorten the length of the program, okay, and then you can minimize the line statements also. So here if you want to output or input two or more variables, we can use separate statements or we can use cascading operators. So it can be used for both input and output also. You can display 2 3 output data at the same time. You can enter 2 3 input data at the same time in one line statement, that is by using these overload operators. Okay, so here you can see in the output cout variable name, variable names, okay, and in between the variable names no comma, you use these overload operators. Similarly for cin also, okay, you use the variable names, and then you use the overload operators in between the variable names, but always ended by a semicolon. Okay, so if you see in this case for the C output, displaying output using C out object with cascading operator. So here, this variable num1, this is a variable, okay, which has been assigned the value 100, and it is of integer data type. So similarly here, num2 is also assigned the value 200, and it is also of integer data type. So since they are both of integer data type, this variable, that's why uh, it is not written in the next line. Also you can write down here just like this one, int num1 equal to 100, and this in the next line you can write int num2 equals to 200. Okay, but since they are both of the same data type, that's why you using this semicolon only, okay, it is written on the same line. Okay, you can also use the comma operators also that way. Okay, it's explained in the next few pages. Okay, so you can see here cout. So since you have two variables which has been assigned two values, so you just need to display, right? So cout, the two numbers are, okay, so you can see here what value stored in this num1 variable will be displayed as the variable name is written here. Similarly, okay, here also using these cascading operators, what value is stored in this variable num2 will be displayed. Okay, so if suppose there is another value num3 equals to 300, okay, so again this cascading operators will be used, and then here the variable name num3 will be written here, ended by the semicolon. Okay, so similarly for the C input also stream also, okay, you can see that, okay, if you need to enter two datas from the keyboard, okay, so using the overload operator you can assign. Okay, so from the keyboard, the first data that is entered will be stored in this num1, the second data that is entered will be stored in this num2, like that. Okay, so just go through these examples. Okay, lots of examples are given in here in this textbook. Okay, so for today you just try to understand what is cout, what is cin, and what are cascading operators. Okay, so go through the examples and try to understand what these examples further. Okay, so that will be all for today.